Good. We got the audio live? Excellent. All right. Think we're just about ready. All right. Well, welcome back to Live Stream Reflections. Each week we like to go through several recovery-based readings, such as Just for Today and Daily Reflections. And joining me today are Connor, Corey, and Bianca as they share their insights and wisdom. And also, you may have noticed by now, we're all wearing ugly Christmas sweaters.
Because I was going to ask if we were just going to sit here like this is normal.
Oh, no, we're totally going festive here.
Mine's not ugly.
You look good.
Yeah, there's no argument here. But, anyway. But if you guys really think that Connor's is the best, I encourage you all to comment with saying who has the best ugly Christmas sweater.
It's me.
No.
I don't think they can see it.
Can they?
Can you stand up a little bit?
Oh,
Tilt
man.
up, Christian.
He's got legs.
A jingle too, yeah?
It's a woman.
I don't even know.
Alright, let's read the thing.
Sorry.
Alright. Okay, so, focus. Our first reading is from Just for Today, called Walking the Way We Talk. Words mean nothing until we put them into action. And that's from Basic Text, page 56. The 12th step reminds us to practice these principles in all our affairs. In NA, we see living examples of this suggestion all around us. The more experienced members, who seem to have an aura of peace surrounding them, demonstrate the rewards of applying this bit of wisdom in their lives. To receive the rewards of the 12th step, it is vital that we practice the spiritual principles of recovery even when no one is looking. If we talk about recovery at meetings but continue to live as we did in active addiction, our fellow members may suspect that we are doing nothing more than quoting bumper stickers. What we pass on to newer members becomes more from how we live than what we say. If we advise someone to turn it over without having experienced the miracle of the third step, chances are the message will fail to reach the ears of the newcomer for whom it's intended. On the other hand, if we walk what we talk and share our genuine experience in recovery, the message will surely be evident to all. So just for today, I will practice the principles of recovery even when I'm the only one who knows.
Yeah, what I get from this is, I know we've talked about it before, but it's also important to do it when no one's watching, because what if a newcomer does see you and they're like, okay, this is how they're living outside of meetings and how they're living outside of the fellowship. I guess that's okay for me to do it too. And it's giving them basically the idea that they can live how they were living in active addiction without the drugs and the alcohol. And that's just not good, because it doesn't, it can affect your sobriety. And I just think it's important to live the way you speak, just to better your life also, and just be grateful and respect the program, really, be an example for others.
No, absolutely.
When I was getting high, there were a lot of things I did when no one was looking. The getting high, the stealing, all that stuff. And there were things I did when people were looking. I was trying very hard to lead this double life, do the things at the time, I needed to do in order to feel okay and feel normal, while at the same time projecting this image to the world around me. And first of all, that's exhausting. It takes a lot of energy and effort to live that way. Mm-hmm. And second, eventually, those lives are going to have to overlap. There's a lot of lies that have to be told to maintain that, and eventually they crumble. Mm-hmm. And so if I come into recovery and I continue to try and live those two different lives, if I come here, I go to a meeting and I talk a good game, but I go home and I'm still, being selfish, I'm still not praying, I'm still not meditating, I'm still not doing all of the things I just got done talking about, eventually those lies are going to cave in on me. Either a newcomer is going to see it, and it might project that image of everyone here is just lying through their teeth, and they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't actually do any of the things they say. Or it'll come out some other way. eventually the lies will catch up to me, and the only way I'll be able to deal with it is to get high again.
Right.
Interesting.
You know? I'll just start feeling miserable. It'll start until I finally go to someone. So, hey, guess what? I've been lying about everything for the past 6 months, and I need help.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm lucky, that's how it'll come out. But usually it comes out some other way, and I have to go through some kind of pain to learn that lesson. That doing the right thing so that other people see me doing the right thing is not the point. Doing the right thing should be its own reward. I should be doing it because it's the right thing, regardless of how that affects my reputation.
Right.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that it's its own reward, for sure. You know, I tend to try to push down anything that causes me uncomfort, or I know it jingle. But it I don't know. I don't really know like what word it is. Self-esteem, maybe, like how you feel about yourself, right? Because I mean, I see me do every action that I do, right? And I know if I'm being a shitty person or whatever I'm doing, but both of these kinds of people help me out though in my sobriety. Like I paid attention, right, when I first got sober, and because I wanted to be sober. I was tired of living a very painful, life full of suffering, and I'm pretty observant, and I saw like people living their lives the way that the program outlined, and then I saw people who would talk about it and not do it, and I saw the consequences that those people went through, right? And I could see that, they're not, I don't want to say they're not happy, but that's really what it is. They're not happy, and they're living like a false life, and they're causing themselves pain, and I don't want to do that. So what I did is I followed those people that were doing what they were talking about.
Right.
And I'm still sober, and I tried to emulate what they were doing, and it's worked out for me so far.
Right. Stick with the winners.
I think that's a really good solution-focused approach, because it's taken even some of the less successful methods of staying in recovery, but actually like observing that, even though it's something that isn't necessarily a good thing, but being able to turn that into something that ultimately benefits you or the people next to you. I think that's a really good outlook on that. Now, one question about this reading that I think would be very interesting is not only just applying this in meetings, but also outside of meetings. Because I remember reading a quote that said that true character is what someone does when no one's looking. And, I almost really view this in the light of confrontation. Say you have an issue with a coworker or a friend or even someone in group. I know that in a lot of social circles, it's a fairly common occurrence that a lot of people do what's called triangulation, where you talk to somebody else about an issue that you're having with another person. And you're not directly addressing your conflict with that person, but instead you're talking to other people, almost trying to build alliances of sorts. So do you often see a lot of that formulating in lives within group or even outside a group?
I see it in my own life. I do that, and I try my best not to. And I watch myself do it sometimes, but it's something that I continually work on, and I haven't learned yet, I guess, from my experiences of it backfiring every time, because it always turns back on me, and that's what, it doesn't do me any good.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too. I think the main difference is it depends on my motive when I go to someone else.
Right.
Am I going to somebody to vent and to get them to agree with me, or am I going to somebody with a problem that I need advice for? If I go to somebody actually looking for advice, then I'm probably not just venting and gossiping. This is the situation, this is what I think I should do about it.
Right.
Does that sound right at all, or you know, am I looking at it through my own eyes and unable to see it from any other way? Versus, hey, this is what's going on, and this person is awful, and you should think they're awful, and here are all the reasons they are awful,
Right.
and why I'm right and I'm better than them, you know?
Mhm.
And that's a really blunt way of putting it, but that's generally how that argument goes when I'm just venting to someone,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. Yeah, there can be a lot of unintended consequences
Mhm.
there. Because, I mean, I've just seen, even in my personal experience, you know, some people, they'll, you know, usually when you can tell when a lot of these things happen is people start treating each other differently based on some of the things that they've heard.
Right.
Mhm.
And then it can also, like, for the other person, let's say I'm talking bad about, or I'm venting to you about Corey,
Mhm.
and I can make you uncomfortable with me venting, and it can, like, put the other person, like, their feelings at risk in a way. I don't want to say feelings, their emotions, like, because it can make them like, hey, I don't want to hear any of this. Like, you just need to, like, maybe, I don't know, talk to your sponsor. Like, don't sit here and make me feel uncomfortable because you're having issues.
And it's
No.
That's
been,
very true.
and I've had a common experience doing that, going to someone and venting, and totally unintentionally, because I didn't know everything that was going on, forcing that person to be in the middle now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I came to you with for instance, say I came to you to vent about Bianca, and everything I was saying, you had to take in based on her coming to you with a legitimate problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's not your place to tell me what's going on with her, but at the same time,
Yeah.
that would, you know,
Help
Yeah,
the
and-
situation.
In essence, it's just compromising someone else's relationship with another person,
Mhm.
you know, and, you know, even if that's not the intent, maybe it's just if someone's frustrated and they want to let their feelings out, but, you know, there are a lot of consequences that people might not even be aware of.
Right.
So, this is also a part that I'm interested in hearing more from you guys about is, were there certain circumstances when you or somebody else was, you know, doing this venting or this triangulation, or was about to, but something changed and there wasn't, or were there any circumstances where it was handled in a healthy way? Are there any circumstances that you see that happening?
I mean, it's the healthiest when I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I mean, as far as when it does happen, like, I'll try to go back and right my wrongs when it backfires, because it always does.
I've been fortunate a couple of times that whoever I chose to vent to sort of recognized what was going on and steered me away from that. They didn't play along.
Mhm.
They actually tried to give me advice, and it caught me off guard enough to slow me down and get me to actually think about what I was saying, what I was thinking about,
Right.
to where I could go handle it in a healthier way, go actually, like, talk to that person that I had a problem with and fix the problem rather than just complain about the problem.
Right,
you
right.
know?
Oh, that's a very fortunate circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen every time, but I was fortunate the few times it did.
But I'd say one of the most important things about those kind of circumstances, there are certain things that you can identify in those situations
Mhm.
to actually try to emulate in your life, to actually, like, if you're about to, say, vent to somebody else, you know, maybe calling to remembrance some of those instances. Do you think there's anything, like, I don't know, any kind of, like, meditative exercise or anything that you would do to perhaps, I don't know, prevent any, like, triangulation or any kind of gossip? Is there anything that you could think of that could be implemented?
I mean, there's plenty of things you could do.
Yeah, but I think it's the fact of wanting to do it, or actually realizing that, you know, it's time to step back, because when you're kind of in the heat of the moment of things, you, like, don't really think about what you should be doing. You just need to get this off your chest, and you need to,
Right.
like, speak about it now and talk about it now, because, I mean, at least for me, because I'm an addict and I want it now. Now.
Gotcha.
Just direct it in the right place
Yeah.
instead of directing it in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's having the patience to actually kind of process it a bit more instead of just instantly spitting it back out somebody else.
Right.
Interesting. That's good. I could see a lot of, like, some of your breathing exercises, especially if you're agitated, that being an effective approach. Cool.
Should we go on to the next one?
Absolutely. So the next reading is from Daily Reflections, called Understanding the Malady. When dealing with an alcoholic, there may be a natural annoyance that a man could be so weak, stupid, and irresponsible. Even when you understand the malady better, you may feel this feeling rising. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 139. Having suffered from alcoholism, I should understand the illness, but sometimes I feel annoyance, even contempt, toward a person who cannot make it in AA. When I feel that way, I am satisfying my false sense of superiority, and I must remember, before the grace of God, there go I.
I know for me, like if someone does end up relapsing, I get angry with them. And the reason why I get angry is because I don't step back and look at where I was when I was relapsing, and I don't keep it on my shoulder where like how I should. I don't play the tape through and be like, I was there before and I know how it is, and all I can do is offer a helping hand, or when they're ready they can come to me and get help. But I get mad because I'm like, well, you could have done this, you could have done this, or were you going to enough meetings? Were you praying? Were you this? Were you that? Like, were you doing what's needed of you? And like, I just need to, like, once again, I just need to remember that I came from that spot, and I can't be judgmental, and I'm not superior towards them. We're all the same person.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
It's really easy to forget how hard it was for me in the beginning. I see people every day who, they come into a meeting, they make it for a little while, they relapse, they go back out. And it's like, really, like, how, I was talking about this before, I see a lot of people doing things that I have done in the past. And I've since learned my lesson through, weird experiences, painful experiences, what have you. And I forget that I had to have those experiences to learn those lessons. So when I see people doing things that I used to do, I get it in my head that they should already know better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not their job to know better, it's my job to help them learn that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I have to meet them where they're at, they don't have to meet me where I'm at. And as far as, like, especially when people relapse, I actually had a friend who relapsed last week, and it was unfortunate that he relapsed. It was even more so that he overdosed and died on that relapse. And as is always the case when that happens, there were all of us, me and all of his friends, had questions, and a lot of them started with what if and why and how. And unfortunately, we don't get the answers to those questions. And a lot of people were asking, well, what wasn't he doing?
Mm-hmm.
What did he not do that led him back to relapsing? And I don't know what he didn't do. I don't know where he fell short. I don't know why he felt the need to go back and get high. But I do know that I have to keep doing everything that I was taught.
Right.
It wasn't a weakness on his part. That's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And in a twisted way, I would still do that, satisfying my false sense of superiority. Like, well, he must not have been doing this, or
Mm-hmm.
he didn't know how to do this, or he could have been better about this. And, it's kind of in a more somber way, but it's still that I'm better because I didn't
Right.
go out like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to remember, some of us aren't. I'm just incredibly lucky.
Right.
There
Yeah.
for the grace of God go I. That's all it is. I'm just incredibly lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone gets that lucky, and I have to remember that.
And it reminds you, like, it also, like, reminds you that you need to keep doing what you're doing, because it's just that easy to go out. Like, it's just one day you wake up, like, and decide, hey, I'm going to get loaded today, and it happens and you die, and it's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, we live every day by grace.
Right.
I think it's funny how you said we just get lucky. Like, you're just lucky. because there are some days I wake up and I'm like, how? You know, like I don't know, like how, because I've seen a lot of people who have been more involved in the program than I have, and who have done a lot more things for other people than I have, and you know, they've suffered the same fate. And here I am, like, not doing as much as those people, or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever I want to blame myself for at that moment, but I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I'm still sober.
Right.
Sometimes I just don't understand it.
It's a miracle.
But I mean, I do know that there's certain things that I do to try to prevent that from happening, right? And I do try to work a program and be honest and all these things, and I don't know, like, what, there's like not an exact formula. It's just doing the best that you can in this program, giving it an honest effort. And as far as this, you know, this feeling of superiority, especially with newcomers, I can get frustrated. But it's important to remember that alcoholics and addicts come in all different shapes and sizes.
Right.
And we all have different issues that we have to work through, and you know, something that I overcame really quickly is probably something that somebody else is struggling with. So it's just a matter of recognizing that nobody's better or less than. We might be different, but we're all on the same level. And I get frustrated sometimes, I really do. Sometimes I just want to be like shaking people, like, stay sober and don't do this and don't go to meetings just to talk to girls, and you know, all the ridiculous things that we do in early sobriety.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did a lot of them too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it also kind of ties into some of our previous conversations in the last few weeks about being slow to judge anyone who is, you know, new to the program, who has yet to have that kind of spiritual awakening, where they start to actually, you know, feel good by doing things, not because they're gaining something from it, but Corey, like you were saying before, doing something that's right because it's the right thing to do. So I think when it's put in the perspective of time, it's all kind of levels out.
I've gotten better, not perfect by any means, but I've gotten better at giving people, especially newcomers, like the benefit of the doubt. You know, yeah, they probably just didn't know any better, or they probably had something going on, or whatever it is. And I mean, somebody gave me that chance.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to be mean, he's just kind of dumb, you know?
Yeah.
He's
And-
sick. We're sick.
And
Disease.
And it's, you know, I can be, and at that point, like, I could be taught, you know, and I just have to be patient enough for the people who come behind me to try and pass on the lessons that I was taught, you know?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's probably a good note to end it on.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we need to tally up the scores for our sweaters.
Is there really a score?
Oh, we've got some votes. Let's see, we got someone saying, Connor, you have the best Christmas sweater. And then someone says that Connor's Christmas sweater is ugly. So is it like plus one and then minus one?
I
It
don't
kind of
know.
like
I
balances
think
out.
that's 2 votes for the same sweater.
He says it's fugly,
Oh,
to be
ooh.
exact.
Is that Adam?
No.
Brandon.
Mm.
Well, I think that counts as 2
Well, we got,
for Connor.
Reisto has
Yes,
the best
I
sweater.
got one, and it has 2 likes on it. And then we got one for Corey. OMG, those deer. LOL. Let's see. Interesting. I don't know how to tally this up, but I think it's almost like a tie.
Besides
because-
me.
Yeah, sorry. Your Christmas sweater was the most pretty out of all of us. There we go. It wasn't
most
ugly
blue.
enough.
Yours is the bluest.
You have the
Literally.
The bluest of the truest. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us this week, and be sure to join us next week, and we'll come back with more daily reflections, and have a very Merry Christmas.
Toodles.